Well, 2016 was certainly a year of upheaval and uncertainty, from the election of Donald Trump to the epidemic of fake news and civil disobedience around the world. So, what can we expect in 2017? I recently sat down with our marketing and branding expert, Tony Chapman. All right, let's start with uncertainty and angst. You believe that is going to be a big theme throughout this coming year?
I think so. I think we're moving away from this world of mass where we obey institutions and organizations. It's about me, my network, my friends, and what we're seeing is a lot of people are getting together because social currency is I can get together with people that I believe in the same passionate ideals. And what's happening is we're seeing that power is starting to be demonstrated in terms of how we're rebelling against organizations, rebelling against police, we're rebelling against so many different parts of society that we always took for granted that humans would behave. And I think it has a lot to do with the fact that I get my power now from my community.
All right. Does social media also play into that as well? Because now all of a sudden we've got a voice. We've got somewhere to put that angst.
First time ever in the history of mankind, we are now journalists. We can contribute to the conversation. And if we want to get noticed, we have to be out there. We have to be passionate. We have to be very vocal in our views. And that's what gets likes. And what's happening is that the social media, this fake news, this citizen journalism, everything that's occurring. But when you look at the average human being, that's where they're getting their news. It's their network, it's their Facebook feed, and that's causing a lot of difficulty in terms of, again, establishment trying to establish some law and order.
Okay, you mentioned journalism. That takes us to our next big trend for 2017, because certainly journalism, news organizations, they've been one of many institutions under fire, and we're going to see more of that this year?
Yeah. Well, we're seeing that, this church and state that used to exist so beautifully, like the editorial was editorial and advertising was advertising. It was a perfect marriage and it was a very profitable business. But nowadays we have such an abundance of content. It's like drinking from a fire hose. So once again, if you want to get advertising dollars, you've got to find a way to bring eyeballs in. Eyeballs are attracted to train wrecks, the hairpin curve in a race. So we're seeing a lot of fake news, exaggerated headlines, and hoping that it draws enough people that they can, again, put this sort of advertising against it. You understand with advertising nowadays, most of it's fed out by computers. So the computers are just looking where their action is. They're not really determining, is this right or wrong? What is the moral code attached to this content?
Well, I know institutions like Facebook have taken at least some preliminary steps to try to limit fake news, or at least to blunt its impact. But do you think that commerce, currency is going to speak louder at the end of the day?
I think the advertisers already are bringing in symbols that says, for example, if I'm an airline, I don't want to be attached near an airplane, a story about airplane crashes. That's pretty easy to do for artificial intelligence to kind of match that. But the algorithms get much more complicated when you're dealing with sentiment. So when you're reading these fake news and it's more about emotion versus sort of a jarring headline, you can seed a lot of stuff through Facebook. So unless they put an individual looking at the hundreds of millions of pieces of content a day, it's going to be almost impossible to stop. Okay,
uncertainty and angst, institutions under fire, and finally the third next big trend we might see this year is man versus machine?
Well, man versus machine, I think that what we're seeing now is technology is replacing jobs far faster than we imagined. And we're only at day one. Artificial intelligence, maybe not in 2017, but sometime in the next 5 years, it's actually going to pass mankind in terms of intelligence, their ability to create. And once they do, it's an exponential curve. So all of a sudden, we're going to have driverless cars. We're going to have, buy everything online. We're going to talk to people in call centers, but they're just going to be robots. And my concern is, where are the people going to work?
Right.
Or are we going to see a pushback and have people start going, instead of made in Canada, it'll be this percentage of this product or service was man-made. And I think that what we're going to see is a real tension between convenience, because technology is very convenient, and humanity in terms of, wow, we got to support our fellow mankind.
Yeah, and for those that think that this is some kind of space age idea, I mean, the future is now. We just saw Mark Zuckerberg out with Jarvis, an AI butler, right?
And he coded that himself at home.
Yeah.
He created that because he has nothing else to do besides Instagram and Facebook, that he built it, and that's what's happening. And then, the next generation of chips are designed by computers. So as you start getting computers to start thinking and creating and building, 3D printing, Donald Trump talks about bringing all these jobs back from overseas. He'll be bringing factories back, but they'll be manned by robots, not man. And I think that's going to be our great moral crisis that we got to face as humanity, is to say, yes, it's cheaper, yes, it's convenient, yes, it's faster, but is it better for us?
Okay, these are some pretty weighty trends, if you will, and just in our last 40 seconds or so. Are you bold about the new year, what the coming years?
What I'm bold about is
I'm kind of freaked out.
I think technology is freaking me out because it is moving so quickly. It's just exponentially in terms of the things that we're discovering. What I am very happy about is that I'm being Canadian. And I think if you're Canadian, the beauty about it is you're living in a country that's small enough that we can manage our resources and take care of our people and take care of our social net. We've got fresh water, we've got fresh energy. All we need is some imagination, some vision, create a new economy, and I think we're going to have a perfectly paced Speedway. So bullish on Canada, a little worried about technology globally.
All right, Tony Chapman on trends for 2017.